Hello, and welcome back to another episode for Project Seed Money. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited that you are here. Please welcome my guest, Heather. We are so excited to have you today.
I'm so excited to be here and I look forward to our chat.
Thank you so much. I want to jump right in and ask the question that I ask every author, and that is, have you always used writing as a tool? Have you always known that you were going to write, or is this something that came later in life for you?
Oh, that's interesting. I had to be a really avid reader. Like that was my path. I really did a lot of reading in life and never ever considered being a writer. Even when I was probably in my single digits, I already had a diary, but I wasn't really diligent with it. Got to the teen ages and then I started journaling a lot. And it really wasn't until only a few years ago where I felt like I think I have a story to share and that pulled me in. And so I never considered being a writer in any other format, but boy, I have consumed a lot, right? And so they really are parallel worlds.
Was the consumption primarily things like fiction books, or were you reading memoirs when you were growing up?
I was definitely reading a lot of fiction. I think it was my way of escaping and using my imagination and just having an alternative setting. But then once I started realizing that there was nuggets to be learned from other people, then I started diving into memoirs. And then I started seeing the beauty behind that.
I love. And then you wrote your own memoir. So was there some sort of catalyst that drove you to that? Did you have a period of like, okay, now I've got to write?
I did. I actually started hearing what I was saying and listening, and I had had some very ridiculous experiences in my life that were pretty non-typical. And I kept saying, I know I belong on Dateline. I know I belong on Dateline. And when you say that enough times, you realize there's a story there, especially when people agree. And I wasn't ready when I first got the idea to write my memoir. Enough of my life had not balanced so that I could do it from a good place. And I let it go for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden there was a post that came up that said, "Is 2022 the year to write your book?" And it was from someone that I knew who was a writer, and I signed up in under 5 minutes, and then I cried for an hour and a half because it was like, the time is now, right? Like it was ready. So it came when it was supposed to, and then it came out of me very quickly.
Did you use your journals when you were writing your memoir? Were you able to like reference them, or did you write just from memory?
Now, you know what, through some of the things that I've gone through in my life, a lot of mementos or some of those things that a lot of us would save have been lost along the way. So I didn't have those reference points. And I realized that a lot of those younger pieces going to be the story I was going to tell for my memoir, because memoirs are often segments of our life, right? The learning experience. And for me, that really did start, post high school into colleges is when the seeds of this life kind of is when I needed to start sharing it. So I really did. I went from memory and you did have something that I could reference, but it wasn't white. I did actually, interesting you said that, because in the memoir, the one journal I found, I did find a couple of journal pages that were super emotional and deep and right in the moment. And I included those journal pages in the memoir, but there were only a few to reflect on. So there's maybe 3 or 4, but they were so on point and pertinent. So I was glad I found them.
That's
Mhm.
amazing. When you wrote your memoir, did you feel those experiences as you were writing them again? Did you have to kind of transmute that energy as you were writing it? Sometimes I feel like when we're writing memoirs, that's kind of a scary part of it. It's hard to re-experience the things we tried to run from.
Oh, absolutely. And I really have gone through a number of trauma cycles. I mean, that's kind of my memoir was about coming to find myself and understand why these cycles were happening. And a lot of them just wanted to be told. And I really learned about, create the shitty first draft. And so it was like, just get anything down, just get it down and get it out. And what I found that, not only was it getting it down, but then it was the regurgitating and editing and looking over it. So you read these memories multiple times because you're trying to make them palatable for your reader. And so then what I found though was through all of that, I was alchemizing, and I was healing, and they lost their power over me. The second they came out, they lost a bit of power. And then every time you kept going over and rewriting, it was extremely cathartic and it was worth it because they were stuck inside otherwise. And now, like, I'm holding this up so I know some of it, but like this warrior came to be on this cover and I named her Jules. And ultimately, I know that she holds those stories now so that I never have to. Right. And so, what a healing gift that offered, my inner being, my inner child. It's like, yep, they're a part of me. Here they are. Now you can rest and not hold them as much.
That's so beautiful. I absolutely love that. Once you've done this process, you've written this book, and now you've gotten to the manuscript part of it, and you're nearing that publication. Did you face another level of like vulnerability and fear when it came to sharing that with other people?
Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And not only that, but no matter what the content of the book is, whether it's a memoir, whether it's a children's book, or whether it's a how-to book, I see that authors all experience that craving of acceptance and worthiness, that it was worth it. And of course, mine was a very vulnerable book. And a lot of the people that I still kept disguised, they're alive and well and don't even live that far from me. So there was also this fear of retribution, with my truth. And so you bet it. And so then a couple weeks after it was published, and I realized the sky wasn't falling, right? Like some of them might not have even cared enough to read it. And then the people who did receive it and validate me and also gave them a place of validation, like if they had gone through things similar, it was such a gift and a exchange of energy that made it worth it anyway. But holy moly, yeah, like it was like identity crisis, when you're like, I mean, it's one thing to write it, it's another thing to release it.
How did you muster the courage? What gave you the courage to do it? Did you have a support team? Did you have people around you encouraging you? What gave you the courage?
Going through and surviving those events gave me the courage, right? Like, no, I don't have a support team, but I had to care enough about myself and what's inside here. And the story wanted to come out, and I had to honor that. And that had to be enough, right? And so now, you know, nothing scares me. When you face darkness enough times and you find the beauty in it too, right? It's about the recovery, the beauty, the healing, the growth. It's amazing the things that really don't. I'm kind of unstoppable when it comes to like emotional barriers. I'm not like it sounds like it's so funny to just, but that's my truth. And especially at this time of life, what's happening in our country, and there's a lot of people who are living in fear, and it's real and it's valid, and I see it, but I'm here to say I can be above it for you as a resource. Right? It's just because of what I faced.
Yes. And I happen to know about you that you not only face your own fears and have your own courage, but you partner with people to help them face their courage and like face their hard things. And you co-write. And I feel like maybe I'm guessing, but maybe that's because they need that support team and you're getting to be that person for them that you didn't have. Maybe you're fulfilling this part of you. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't necessarily advertise myself as a co-writer or co-author, but shortly after Tumbled was published, it came to my attention. Someone approached me and said, "Hey, my mother is in hospice care. Since she was little, she's wanted to be a published author. Like, can we make this happen?" And so it was someone I didn't know, and I, entered into a space where my job for 5 months was to pen this woman's story with her. And it was a huge responsibility, and it was hugely meaningful and emotional and compassionate and difficult to honor someone in that space. But I loved it, and it changed my life, and it changed her life for sure. And that's this one. That's Pigtails and Popcorn. And it was gentle. And of course, what came out in the end was the healing that happened between the two of us divinely, more than just like her holding this book. And she did get to hold the book. It was published before she transitioned. The city mayor came for her party and declared it National Pass Day and gave her a plaque thing. And she had been in service for the community for decades as a teacher. And now I have another opportunity. And like I said, it's like they come to me, and I have another opportunity where It's magical and it's divinely guided, and I'm helping them share their voice, their story, right? Like whether it's me writing it or however we interact. But in these two instances, it's more like they're giving me the information and I'm like the master. I love designing. That's like developmental editing. Like, well, seeing the big picture is my gift. And so this other one is a very, very important project for the world. And I'm hoping it can be released this fall. So would love to. It's an honor. It's an honor for me to be that, right? Like, it isn't about the quality of my writing. There's a million amazing writers out there. And so ghostwriting and partnering, but there's something about coming together and sharing that vulnerable space. That's the magic, right? And so, yeah, I'm honored that people would share that much of themselves with me to do this.
What a gift. What a gift on both sides. That's incredibly beautiful. I love that, and I love the work that you're doing in the world. I think what a service that you didn't have, that no one provided for you, and that you go out into the world and do for other people. I think that's incredibly beautiful, and I love that. I do want to ask if it was any different writing these types of more personal stories, things that are more about yourself versus like your most recent book, which is more around the idea of marketing. Again, it ties into this authenticity, who we are, like what we need to show up as in order to market. But did you face any different vulnerabilities or any different challenges when you were writing something that wasn't you so much based, but more like teaching other people based?
Yes and no. Like, so my first career path was an educator of high schoolers. And so, like, not part about teaching is just a part of who I am, also, right? Like, that's just the natural piece. And not only that, but I was a relationship driven teacher working with kids on social emotional learning and things like that. And so, that book is Sell Your Book, Not Your Soul. And I wrote that because I kept seeing authors who were so excited for the works they were creating. They get to that exciting launch and then it was deer in the headlights. And so instead of me providing them with maybe a PDF of here's some great ideas on how to sell your book, because I felt that was falling flat, this book is about honoring our uniqueness and individuality, and it can go into your marketing. And a lot of people who write books might not have a business background. And some people might love social media. Some people might hate it and they get lost. It's a guidebook. And so it's like, it's usable. It's a planner in order to talk about the different components. And so because it still is about coming back home to self, even though it was nonfiction, like that same value pillar is woven into it. And so to me, this is just like being a teacher, right? This was not a difficult write for me. I have a very creative brain too. So like putting the things in it and understanding how people could use this tool was kind of a second nature for me, which was nice that it wasn't such an emotionally driven writing because that, that's, you have to provide that special space for something like that.
It's nice to be able to take a little break too from the depths, right? From the darkness.
Right.
I absolutely love that. And I think that for creative minds, like we often struggle with the business side of things. And I think that any author can really benefit from learning how to speak about themselves authentically and promote themselves. I feel like it's one of those challenges that we all face. Like, how do we talk about ourselves when people told us growing up that that was selfish and narcissistic and all these things? So how do we transfer that energy into something more positive? So I think your book definitely fills a gap, and I'm appreciative of it as an author myself to have a resource like that. So thank you. And then one more question I did have about publishing your books. So when you first wrote your memoir, were you already a publisher at that point? Okay.
No, and I was really fortunate to be under a writing coach. She was writing it, guiding a bunch of us, and it was just kind of providing the space and the vessel to be writers. And she talked about right away meeting the energy of your book and seeing it outside as its own entity, right? Listen for its guidance. And so that really to me was so important to like think of my book. And we meditated and we greet the energy of our book. And so I really allowed it to be what it wanted to be. I was very on the fence. I was open to a publisher and I was open to self-publishing. I was just kind of like, okay, what does the book want? And in the end, because it was so personal and because I had enough of the elements it takes to publish a book as far as technical brain, and I had the design things that I could pull people in, my book decided it wanted to be self-published. I wanted complete control. that was really important to me that I wasn't going to go to a publisher and they were going to start saying, oh, well, that story, can't you go a little deeper? Or that one should be cut. And I just went, I want complete control. And so I've always kind of been open. Well, then the book with Pat came up immediately after, like immediately. And well, it's like, well, I already knew how to publish. So it's like, okay, let's do it. Well, then that turned into a referral, which turned into 3 contracts within like a month and a half, which now that would have been the end of 2023. So 2024 was my first year being a published author. I think we had 11 books published at the end of 2024. I think we have six on the books already for this year. I know and really it's about coming together as kind of this Hezi May family for people who feel like they do have a story you're feeling called to share. It's not just like, well, I just want to publish a book. Whatever that might look, it doesn't define the genre of it, but I'm more here to support the author. It's author first, book second, and book sales is third. Like, I believe it will get to the right hands as long as you keep following your authentic path. And we talk very clearly, like, about what does it take to become a New York bestseller. People that come to Hezi may understand that isn't the value system of what we're doing here. It's about the messaging, and the books that we're sending out are here to help add a light in the world, right? And we do want success, but we also understand that marketing and visibility is big and it's a marathon. And so this is I'm entering the 2nd full year, and the authors I'm working with are delightful. And I'm seeing how they are valuing themselves and their unique characteristics. And I'm encouraging them, okay, you love children. You wrote a children's book. Your primary thing is to get into schools, to read to classrooms. Okay, that's fabulous. Let's support that. Oh, you do this. I'm seeing them take those natural paths. And so there's so much comfort and calm and belief in themselves.
That's so beautiful. That's so, so beautiful. Is your publishing house currently accepting manuscripts?
Yes, we are accepting manuscripts. Absolutely. I am a one-man band. And of course, I have a couple of great designers and some editors. I do editing myself. And I'm sure what I'm thinking is Hezi May will get to a point where it might need more people. But as of this point, the universe has been sending the right people at the right time. So we're accepting and it's going great.
That's so cool. Okay. One last question. I want to know if you have any last bits of advice for women who are sitting on the fence. They have this story they want to tell, but they're stuck or they're caught, or maybe the fear is catching them, or maybe it's just not quite exactly the right time. Everything hasn't aligned for them yet. How would you encourage them?
I think one thing I've been thinking about lately is the power of our voice. Our voice is everything, and we can do it in different ways. We can blog, so we can do videos, we can do podcasts, we can write books, but don't minimize the value of your voice and your story. You're worthy, you're worthy, and no one says there's a timeline you have to follow. Nobody says how many books you need to sell, but what would it mean to just be able to get a shitty first draft? What would that feel like? Right? What would that feel like? And then you decide, do I want to go a little further or not? But if you're choosing to not write, but you think you might, what's holding back your voice? Because there's nothing there, right? And so where's that value piece? And so that's kind of writing my memoir, opened my voice, and let me tell you, my whole world changed, and it's nothing but for the better. And so be open to that because it's pretty beautiful.
So inspiring, Heather. Thank you so much for your value and your time and just sharing all these nuggets with us. You are such an incredible member of the community, and I just feel that having you in the publishing industry makes it a better place. So thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Can you please tell our audience how they can get a hold of you, social media, website, etc.?
Absolutely. So my website is hezimay.com. And so that is the easiest place to find me. It has ways to contact. But also I should share that since you and I spoke, I have started a Hezi May Writers Collective, where 3 to 4 Wednesdays a month, I just have one Wednesday off for my YWCA board meeting, but we meet for an hour and a half for free on Zoom on Wednesday nights. And it's just a donation base, but it's both for a writing time for yourself, where camera's off and the audio's off, but then there's also a short connection time. We encourage journaling. We encourage coming to work on a manuscript, but it's about giving a space for our nervous system. And so we're in our second month right now. And so that also is through Hezi May. And I'm on Facebook is my biggest platform. And so I do have things on there. I have a writers group on there. And so that's really exciting. So if you're looking for a space just where you can come and like give a little time once a week, that would be a great opportunity for people.
It's incredible. And I will make sure the links for that are everywhere so that people have easy access to get both to you and also to your club. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode. And I am really grateful for your time.
Thank you so much. I loved sharing and exchanging this energy. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week.